Blessings, everybody. My name is Jafon Seeley. Could you imagine what is actually possible when we start honoring and recognizing our inherent worth, realizing that we are that which is assisting and co-creating our experience? And with that understanding, start recognizing that every human, every individual, everything that we interact with reflects that same inherent worth.
It's not about an adventure, it's about the atmosphere of the consciousness of adventure, the lifestyle of adventure. How many people would say that their lifestyle is adventurous?
My name is Lisa Benson. I'm a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant and the author of Anchored in Bias, Fired Over White Tears. It's a book detailing my lived experiences with workplace bias and what fueled my passion for normalizing conversations about differences and creating safe spaces for everyone to bring the best version of themselves to life every day.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. That is lovely. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to Thought Leader Thursday, or as those of us in the know call it TLT. I just want to thank you all so much for being here. We have a wonderful guest, Pam Grout, and her book is talking about her book. It's the 10th anniversary of her book, so we're very excited about that. E squared and all the experiments that she talks about. So we'll share with you with that. And then we have a special guest musician coming on at the end of our time together today. So this is a wonderful time to be here. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to go ahead and ask. I'm going to go ahead and ask Michelle if you would do a short treatment for us, opening treatment. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course, I would be honored. Thank you. Thanks for that video. That was fabulous,
Beautiful.
Robert and Bill. Fabulous. Thank you. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes, I invite you to do that right now. And take a deep, deep breath all the way down into your belly. And with the exhale, just feel your body relax into the chair, your mind soften, and your attention right here, right now. Right here, right now, where the infinite lives in this now moment, where perfect peace and perfect love, wholeness live right here, where I live, where each of us lives in this moment. And so I know that this moment and every single moment that transpires here today is blessed. We are each here by divine appointment to receive something, to give something, to expand in some way, to deepen. I know this is true, or we would not be here. So my words simply proclaim that which is already true. So grateful for Pam for being here today, for the amazing work that she has done and the insights that she brings to us today. For this and for so much more, I say thank you, Source, thank you, Life, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.
So we let it be. Thank you so much. Beautiful. I do want to remind everyone that we do encourage questions and comments as our speaker today, our guest is speaking and sharing. You can raise your hand, and we do. Bill will be paying attention and letting me know that someone has a comment or wants to ask a question. So I'm going to go ahead and then introduce our talk speaker for today. So the topic for today is E squared, then and now. And we are honoring her 10th anniversary of this wonderful book of energy experiments. She's going to share with us about the 9 energy experiments and how they have served her over the years. how the experiments have helped others, and how she feels the impact of knowing and utilizing the energy field of potentiality, or the FP as she calls it, serves mankind. She is a #1 New York Times best-selling author of 20 books, including E Squared, 9 do-it-yourself experiments that prove your thoughts create your reality. She's a published freelance writer for several well-known magazines and journals, including People, Travel and Leisure, and much, much more. Her current focus is the 222 or 222, I'm not sure how you say that, I'll have you say it in a moment, foundation that she started to honor her magical daughter, Tasman, who has been guiding her from the non physical realm since October 15th, 2018. So thank you so much, Pam, for being here. Thank you all for being here. And I really want to thank Martha for grabbing you up at Unity and asking you to be here today. So thank you so much for that. I'd like to go ahead and start, Pam, if you don't have something you'd like to start with. I'd like to just start with asking you a little bit about, tell us about the 222, or how do you say that, foundation? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I call it the 222 Foundation, the 222
Okay.
Foundation, actually, I guess.
Okay.
I wrote about this in E Squared, actually, and it was talking about synchronicities. And my daughter, for whatever reason, when she was in junior high, became obsessed with the number 222. I mean, who knows? So she started a little Facebook group, The Amazing Awesomeness of 222, or something like that. And so when her friends, would say, hey, what time is it? It might be 5:14 in the afternoon. And she'd say, oh, it's 2:22. I mean, whatever they asked her, the answer was always 222. So as she got older, we just began, like, if I'd see a 222 somewhere, I'd text her a little 222. So it's just a thing we had. And then after she passed unexpectedly of a cerebral aneurysm 1 week after her 25th birthday, I mean, I was beside myself, as you can imagine. And it came to me really quite early on that I would start a foundation in her honor, and that on February 22nd each year, we would give a grant to a individual or an organization that is working to change the consciousness of the world. And at that time, it just came to me right away. So I had been scheduled to go to India soon after she passed, and I thought, oh my goodness, how can I do this? I was supposed to go with this Tribes for Good. It's this organization. But I talked my best friend from college into going with me. So I was able to go. And we did our thing with Tribes for Good. And then we, of course, did all the India tourism things. And we were at the Taj Mahal. And we walked in there and found out that the Taj Mahal, I don't know if any of you guys have been there before, but it's a beautiful spiritual place. And it took 20,000 workers, 22 years to build it. So there was the 222.
Wow.
And then also the woman that's buried there, it was this mogul's favorite wife, and her name was Mumtaz. I mean, that was the name, and it's a monument to love. And it's truly, there's an energy when you walk in there that's just unbelievable. So we go there, we had this magical, amazing experience. And then we left and we went to this place called Shiro's Hangout. And it was a bunch of women who had been, their faces had been deformed because their husbands threw acid on them. They were acid attack victims. And up until this cafe had started, they would usually hide at home, after something like this happened. But these women were coming out with love, and they were making tea and, making treats for people. And then you could leave a donation, but it was all free. So I got a very clear message that would be the first, grant, because they were getting ready to move to a different location. So we funded the new location for that. For Shiro's Hangout. That was the first 222 Foundation. And then every year since then, about on her birthday, I put out a little notice saying, hey, I want to give away money, please, send me your great idea to change the consciousness of the world. And so since then, we've gone on to fund quite a few things. This will be the 6th year. It will be 5 years since she passed. It was 2018 when it happened. But the first one came that first February 22nd. So it's just a way for me to honor her, to stay in touch with her. I mean, I always say our board of directors is me and her, so we have all these wonderful, amazing ideas. I mean, I get inspired just seeing all the ideas that come into me. In fact, this anniversary edition of E Squared, there's a, I don't know if any of you guys have seen it yet, but there's a treasure map, a manifesting treasure map
Oh
in
yeah, you
it. So
talked
it's
about
like
that.
22 days, 22.2 things that you manifest in addition to doing the 9 experiments.
Okay.
And the guy that did it, the artist that did that treasure map, had actually applied for 222 grant. And while he wasn't exactly what we were looking for that particular year, you know, I did get to know him. And anyway, we hired him to do that math. And then just recently, he invited me to go to Spain and stay in his place. So I'm just returning from, 6 weeks in Spain. So that was pretty amazing. And in fact, I kind of joked that I launched my book tour in Spain. So every day I'd be, sipping a latte in a park or something, and I'd hold up a picture of my book. It's like, okay, I'm on my book tour. But it was just basically, and then a friend of mine decided to start a Facebook group, and she did that. So it was a pop-up Facebook group for the month of, I guess just the month of August. So I guess today would be the last day. I think she's keeping it open a couple more days. But anyway, so the book came out, and it's been an amazing ride, this whole journey with E Squared. I've just gotten to, I always knew these principles were true. I mean, that's why I wrote about them. But since this book came out, I have gotten probably 1 million letters from people.
Really?
And just with these stories. It's just amazing. Like, and they usually start with, oh my gosh, you're never going to believe this. I mean, I hear this over and over and over again. And they send me these stories of, how they realize that there is this force out there that has their back. And people are just, blown away with the results that they get. So that's been really wonderful for me to have met so many people. I've been able to, travel all over the world. I've spoken about my book in the Philippines, in Finland, in Peru. I mean, I've gone all over the world speaking about this book, and it just really hit a chord. It went, 40 languages it's been translated into, and it just, took off in an amazing way. So anyway, Thank you, dude. Thank you, God. Thank you, FP. And thank you all.
I like that at the beginning where your very first experiment is about the dude abides, which is, what is that from, the Big Lebowski or something?
Right.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. I love that. So tell us a little bit about why did you begin to go down that path? How did you pick the experiments that you chose? And, why did you go down that particular path? What got you there?
Well, I feel like, the stuff that all you ministers tell us about, this is important information. We need to know this, And so I guess in some ways it was kind of a con into getting people to try this. It's one thing to read about this or to hear about it, but let's try this out in your own life. So I came up with these experiments and set it up kind of like, with the lab report sheets. And that way people are going to really try this. Is there really this force that has your back? Is that true? And, you give it time, 48 hours, I kind of decided to make it quick, but, the evidence that comes back for people. So it just, solidifies these truths that we've known about for a long time. I mean, ever since Jesus said, seek and ye shall find, ask and ye shall receive. So this is a way of just testing it out. So, I mean, like the dude abides, and I try to use kind of funny titles. One of the things I feel is really important is we need to make it lighter. Like we're all about seeing the light, right? I mean, that's the light of the world, this beautiful light of the world. And I think we also need to be light, and we need to be light in every way. So I made them kind of funny, and I, kind of poked fun at maybe some of the real rigid stuff that happens. I mean, once we think we know something, we no longer are open, right, to what could be. So I think it's so important to stay open. And I think when you're kind of laughing or kind of, not taking it so serious, you leave more doors for spirit to get through.
Absolutely.
So I think, that's kind of why I had the sort of humorous titles for these experiments. But it's a very important subject, but it's just kind of fun to take it lighter than not to, be so ponderous about it.
Absolutely. I know that, when you first start on this path, and it's been a while, so it's kind of hard to get first mind. And some of these experiments helped me to go back and remember what I actually know for sure. And, as I'm talking to people and how do you know this, or how do you know for sure? I get that question all the time. How do you recognize the voice of God? How do you know that that's not just your ego talking, or any number of things? And just to be able to have some kind of actual experiments. Well, listen, just try it. Just sit and ask this question and see what happens, and see what you hear, see what you see. These are fabulous experiments. So I just really appreciate that you put it in this form that anyone can go and take a look at. and just prove to themselves, so they don't have to listen and just take our word for it. So I really,
Exactly.
yes,
Yeah.
don't need to take our word for it. No one ever does. But just to have it in such a way that people can just look at this and say, okay, well, here's one experiment. I'll just try it myself and just start believing. One of the ones you did, and I don't even remember if that was what it came out to be, but I remember thinking that it's one about what you focus on. You know, what you focus on grows. And I can't remember what you asked, but what I know for sure is how it's like when you buy a car, you know, and you've never seen the car before, and now all of a sudden you've bought the car, and now everybody's got one, and that just hasn't changed at all. So that's kind of one of those things where what you focus on grows. It's like it's already been there, but you never noticed it, and you're bringing it back into your focus, into your purview. So those are some wonderful experiments that you talked about. So I'm going to go through a couple of the experiments, if you don't mind, unless you have something you want to share or anybody has a question,
No.
please pop up. I'm just going to kind of go through some of them. So the first experiment where you talked about devoting this 48 hours for evidence of knowing this is an all-knowing, all-perfect field of potential. I think that's what you mean by the FP. The
Right. Field of
potential
infinite
you're talking about.
potentiality. Yeah.
Yeah, field of potentiality. So you said ask for an expected gift. Talk to me about that.
Well, I feel like this, whatever we want to call it, we can call it God, I guess, because we're with reverends, right? But okay, so I believe it is constantly wanting to guide us, constantly wanting to bless us, constantly wanting to interact with us, constantly. So it's not even a stretch to say, okay, give it 48 hours. The thing you have to do is be open enough. And so I think if you're given it 48 hours, I say, don't have any expectations, just let it go. Just open your mind and rid yourself of all thoughts that may deceive, as the Course in Miracles says. Just try it out. There's no skin off your knuckles if it doesn't work. Right. So yeah, I think, and that's where the Force says, okay, fine, they're paying attention now, so I'm going to give them a gift. And the kind of gifts that people got are just amazing. I mean, I think the truth of it is we're getting gifts constantly. I mean, the sun came up this morning. I mean, the beautiful flowers in our backyard, but it's making us pay attention to this beauty that's always there. And I think sometimes we get so focused. I always talk about possibility state or problem state. And we get so focused on the problems and we put all of our attention on what's going wrong. And there's always a little bit of something that could be improved. But when you start putting your attention on it, it grows. I mean, that problem, that issue gets bigger. And so I just think it's so important right now that we really put our attention on all the beauty in the world that is still there. It is always here. And the more we focus on that, the more it will grow. I mean, it's here. It's just our attention's on other things because our attention's so powerful. And it's just really my intention for my attention is to only focus on what's beautiful, what's true, what's kind, whatever it says in the Bible, whatever Jesus said or Paul or whoever said that about focus on what's good, true, whoever said that.
One of them.
Yeah, one of those guys.
Yeah. I was going to write this down because my intention is to, you said something, I loved it. I'll come back to it. So, you're exactly. So I do want to open it up and just ask other people here to share if they have done some of your experiments or even some of these things that we're talking about, that we're proving to ourselves that what we know is true. Please go ahead and share some of those. Raise your hand and go ahead and share some of your experiences with these experiments, whether they're Pam's or whether they're some of your own. I see Laura has her hand up. Laura?
Okay, so I just have to show I'm a raving fan. Yep, I had to pull them all off the shelf, and there's stickies in there and highlights, and yeah. So the third one, in case anybody couldn't see it, says thank and grow rich. Nice. So she has E squared, E cubed. I don't know all the rest of those, but those are the three, Pam, that I've had. And I pull them out periodically to remind myself when I do get stuck in, life's not working. So I've gone through her experiments a number of times, and it's fun to see. And the challenge for me has been to let go of what you just said. I had to write that down. Yep. The attachments and the expectations. because I would start like, okay, where's my feather? Where's my penny? Where's my owl? Where's my, and the whole idea is to just be in the trust and the knowing and allowing. So it's been a fun dance over the years, Pam, and I'm so grateful for your work. And so fun to be here and chat with you, because yeah, you've been with me, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. I don't know when the first one came out. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I love your hair, by the way. That is so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I have fun.
Yeah.
And let's see. That's my word, joy. I can't tell if I'm backwards or straight.
No, I can see it. It's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm all about sharing joy. I have it, and I have little plastic joys I hand out. And I realized the coloring, it brings me joy first, but it's been amazing the smiles it puts on other people's faces when they see my hair and it changes color. So that's how I show up and bring my joy to the world and my beauty. And so yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for allowing me to say hi.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you very much, Lara. Dr. Sherry, you have your hand up?
I do. I have to say thank you, Pam. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Pam. Because you provided a framework. I work with a lot of people who want me to tell them exactly what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and in what order.
Yeah.
And then they want a deadline by which they will receive the result of having done all the things I told them to do. And they don't get it when I say, no, that's not how it works. Yes, God never shuts up, but we have to be listening. And your experiments give them a framework where they can at least loosen their hands off the reins a little bit. And once, it only takes one time. It only takes one time of taking your hands off the reins and saying, oh, for them to be willing to do the other 8 experiments. You know, so forever, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are a blessing.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet to say. And, you know, I totally relate to what you're saying, because even, you know, with these instructions, people will write to me, well, should I do this one first or that one? And I always say, do it however you want. You know, I just not big on prescriptions or any kind of like 7 steps or whatever. It's like, you know what? This is so present. This divine presence is so here that it can't help but get through. So all I'm doing is, you know, providing a little crack, you know, getting 48 hours, you know, what do you have to lose? So anyway, thank you so much for saying that. And I do think it gives people the framework to give it a try. You know, it's just kind of fun. Why not? What do you have to lose?
Yeah. I think that's part of it, is that it's such a serious, people feel like it's such a serious thing. Oh, God and blessings and prayer, and it's so serious. And so you've just given it a nice little light way to change. Just give it just 2 days, 48 hours. Just try. Don't just breathe. Essentially what I hear you saying is just breathe. It's okay. It's gonna be
yes.
So
exactly.
Thank you. Jay, I see your hand is up.
Yes. No, I wanted to say I'm actually in a group where every Sunday the person loads a new Pam challenge. We're doing we're doing Art and Soul Reloaded. So, and it has been so much fun because it just feeds creativity, and honestly, like I don't know, it opened up my mind to seeing things differently, so that when I am challenged with something, I actually stop to look at it differently and actually make it fun. You know, like a challenge, make it fun. I was like, oh my gosh. So that has been my growth doing the Art and Soul Reloaded and with a group, because it allows me it breaks my box open more. You know what I mean? Because now I experience it from so many different perspectives that I wouldn't have thought of, because I don't have their experience, right? So it has enriched my life so much, and I am so grateful, because it has brought a lightness of being doing this and with a group. So yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, one of the things I talk about a lot is my possibility posses. And I do think it's so important to be together and to do it as a group, you know, whatever it might be, because, you know, we really know, 99.9% we've got it, but there's that little tiny little bit of doubt or whatever. And so by doing it with other people, then we really get that extra push. So I think that's so important. So thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I think it really is important to do it. You know, we're a team. We're all a team. You know, walking each other home, as Ram Dass says. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, doing it together and actually having experiments that you can point to and say, I specifically asked for this, this specifically showed up, takes it out of the realm of woo woo and makes it very concrete. This is how it works, and you. What I know from prayer that works when I get answered prayer, that's when I look back and say, you know, this is how it works. I know from the last time I did it, when it worked, these are the steps I took. This is the feeling that I had. And so it just gives you a whole framework when you're, you know, worried about something or nervous about something, you forget. And having this experience with these experiments gives you that solid anchor of knowing, no, I already know how this works. I'm going to go back to what I know for sure. So this is really a wonderful. I want to say, what do you? It's a name that the elementary school gives, but a primer. It's a wonderful primer.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual primer. I love it. So thank you so much, Bill. I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I put my hand up here, and Pam was at the ANTN conference 6 or 8 years ago,
Yeah.
and did some experiments, and we got the book, and I went back, and my community at New Thought Philadelphia had a book club, and you know, so we read through the book and did some of the experiments, and it was wonderful, and it was very heady. And I was running a teen group at the time, and there was one experiment in there that is really applicable for teens. So I still have my divining rods. So we did an overnight with the teens, and they all made divining rods, and they kind of knew that principle works anyway. But as they're walking towards each other, and these things both go in the same direction at the same moment, the teens go, oh, there's something going on here. And just opening the door for
Yes.
a little bit more curiosity. And it was wonderful. And, you know, just thank you again. What a blessing.
Yeah. Are those the hanger things? Is that
Yep, made out of wire coat hangers and drinking straws.
Yeah, I call them the Einstein wands, but you know, they've been called all different things, and they're really fun because, I mean, people have put up YouTube videos, you know, showing how they work. And I mean, it's like, if you want to see it with your own two eyes, just watch, you know, just watch how you think certain thoughts and it comes open. And I love what you said about how they walk to each other and then they open up. There's so many different uses for this. It's just a way of kind of reading energy, right? And so it's just a real visible way of seeing what our energy's doing. Because if we keep our energy open, then, you know, miracles are happening and we're seeing the miracles. So I love that a lot of people have changed, you know, they're using them for all kinds of other things as well. So
yeah, the experiment that was just completely overwhelming is that there were two of them, each with a pair of divining rods. And as they walked towards each other, the rods all moved at the same time.
Amazing.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
It's amazing. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm just going to go down a couple of other experiments just to kind of talk about what the points were, and because that's really what your book is all about, just all these wonderful experiments. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about a few more. You have the let's see. Yeah. So experiment number 2, when you just said you're going to actively look for certain things, and that's a lot of things. I guess I've kind of talked about it already, like a green card. Like I've looked at my the new car that the new to me car, and all of a sudden found it everywhere. And so share with me how that kind of came about, that you decided to do that particular experiment.
Well, that one's been a lot of fun because, again, I appreciate people that kind of put their own twist on it. So of course I suggest green cars or yellow feathers, or I don't even know what specific things I said. And some people, of course, want to do exactly that, but others would try, I'm going to try to find red cars with yellow polka dots. And people would send me these pictures of the red car with yellow polka dots that they saw. And now you see Teslas everywhere, but you know, 10 years ago, you didn't see so many Teslas. So somebody said, I'm going to see Teslas. And she's driving along in this entire, you know, those trucks that have all the cars on it, came by with all the different Teslas. I mean, nowadays you're going to see Teslas everywhere, but at that time it was pretty unique. But it just amazes me, the different colors, the different things. One of my favorite stories from that particular experiment, this woman decided she was going to do white feathers.
White
And one of
feathers.
the things I say about that is just, kind of use it as the crock pot principle. Just, you made that and then go off and know that it'll show up in whatever way. So she went out geocaching with her family and, they had a great time. They're coming home. And this is towards the end of the 48 hours for, spotting white feathers. And all of a sudden her daughter says, "Mom, look, somebody must have killed a chicken." And so the traffic slowed down on the highway that they were coming back on, and lining the road on both sides of the highway, traffic slowed down in case she might have missed it, were white feathers. And she said, "I don't know if a mattress truck turned over." She says, "I don't know what happened, but for like 5 or 6 miles, white feathers lining the highway." So then the traffic picks back up. She goes home, walks into her house, and on her welcome mat, there was one white feather. And she said, it's like, it just kind of what we say, you can take the thimble to the ocean or you can take the bucket or whatever. So it's like, so the dude showed up in spades for that one, it's like, yes, here is the white feathers.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Michelle, I see you have your hand up.
I do, because, oh my gosh, I was reminded, I cannot believe I did not connect these dots now until right this moment. Pam, Michelle Whittington, we've met. You came to my church years ago. So good to see you again. I did a class on E2 and E squared, and we did all the experiments, and one of them was finding the car. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to find, I don't want to find a green car. I want to find my favorite car of all times that I, in my mind at that time, I'll never own, but it's my favorite car, a BMW Z3 at the time, a Z3. So I'm seeing Z3s everywhere, loving it. Oh, so much fun. And I don't know now, because it was so long ago, because we did this right when your book came out. So it was 10 years ago. But within probably a month, one of my congregants says, "Michelle, do you know that so-and-so, another congregant, is selling a used Z3? I'm like, "Excuse me, what?" And I wound up buying that car. So I didn't just see them on the on the road. I wound up buying one, and it was my dream car was very old. It was a 1995. It was very old. And then about 4 years ago, I upgraded and bought a newer one. So because of you and your experience, I have owned 2 now of my dream cars. So thank you.
So the moral of this story, be careful what you ask for. Why go for green cars? Why not go for the car of your dreams? So that's awesome. I remember that story and I love it. That's perfect. Thank you for sharing that.
So share with us one of your experiments that you think had one of the biggest impacts on you or someone else.
Wow. It'd be hard to say what had the biggest impact, which experiment. I think maybe the final experiment is one I like a lot, because it says that basically the world is strangely accommodating. It's loving and strangely accommodating. And I have one other word in there too, I don't remember. But I think once you really get that, when you really realize how much you are loved, how much the dude, whatever you want to call it, God wants to work with you, your whole life changes. Everything is different. If you open yourself up to work with the dude, or let the dude work with you, let the dude take your life. I mean, it's like surrender. And then just these amazing miracles can happen. So I think once you get to where you really trust that, because I think a lot of us have a little fear, like, oh, well, if I surrender my life, I think I wrote in the Course in Miracles experiment, it's like, oh, well, if I surrender, what if he, sends me somewhere where there's termites and slugs, and be a missionary or whatever. So I used to be afraid to surrender my life completely. Yeah. But, I would say that by listening to write this book, because I had written it 10 years earlier, and it was called God Doesn't Have Bad Hair Days. And at that time it had 10 experiments, and it's the same book. Me and 5 other people that read it loved it, but it didn't really do anything. It went out of print. And then I again, don't focus on the problem. It didn't do what I had affirmed it was going to do, but I let it go. I went and did 3 books for National Geographic. And then some voice came to me and said, you know, that book that you wrote, 10 years ago that you loved, that God Doesn't Have Bad Hair Days, you need to repackage that and send it out again because, it had gone out of print. So the rights, reverted to the author. So I repackaged it as E Squared and sent it off to Hay House. And then miracle after miracle just started happening. And I think a lot of that, I always say that partly I was in a space where I was more willing to receive at that point than when it first came out.
Yeah.
I was also in a place where I could travel more. My daughter had gone off to college. So I feel like timing, because some people go, oh, I gave it 48 hours, it didn't work. But it's amazing to me how when you really look at the bigger picture, how God's timing is always perfect. And how little things will happen that you see were right all along, that were set up. Like when we were in Spain, we had kind of a funny thing happen. We were at the beach and we lost the key. Someone had taken the key out of, we had this 4-bedroom condo on the ocean. It was beautiful, but we knew we didn't want to take our money, our phones, anything. So we just had this one key, and then we all run off into the ocean, and we come back, our key was gone. And, we had no contact information because, we didn't have our phones, the people that owned the condo. I mean, what are we going to do? And plus nobody spoke English. So we're just like, oh my goodness, what do we do? But I had this sense all along that it was going to work out. And it's funny because I've been doing Duolingo and I had just learned the phrase necesito ayuda, which means I need help. So I had just learned that phrase. And then we had just befriended this woman who was working at the info desk, and she did speak English because in Cadiz, where we were, not that many people spoke English. But we had befriended her, we kind of go talk to her every day. We knew her name. So I said, could you write out a little message? Because we're like, how are we going to get back into our apartment? How are we going to get our phones? How are we going to get money to get a hotel? It's like, this could be awful. But I just had a sense all along that it was going to work out. So anyway, she wrote a little note, and then I pushed the button for this neighbor who didn't speak any English. And I said, necesito ayuda. And so she buzzed us in. She happened to have a key, even though the woman at the info desk said, oh, nobody else has keys of anybody else there. But it all worked out. And it was like, had I not just learned that phrase, had we not just befriended that woman, this was like 5 or 6 days earlier. So things work out. And so things like everything's being set up for our good. And it may not be the way we think it is, but again, we let go and let the dude do it. Then it works out so perfectly. And that was just one recent example of how all the necessary steps were set up, ready for me. And the book with E Squared, even though it didn't do what I thought it would do when it was God Doesn't Have Bad Hair Days, it went on to do what I thought it would do later with a different version. In fact, I was kind of laughing. The one experiment that I didn't put in, I took 2 of them out. One of them, though, when, the woman that has the hair, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. How the woman has three different colors in her hair. And Laura, and how it makes people smile. One of the experiments in the original God Doesn't Have Bad Hair Days, and this is so crazy, but I thought, maybe this is what we all need to do. I said, carry a giant stuffed animal around everywhere you go. And that was because I had come back on a plane and I was carrying this big stuffed animal. It made people smile, just like her hair makes people smile. So maybe if we all would just line up and carry around giant stuffed animals, everybody would be happier or whatever. But that was one of the experiments in the original book that I did take out in the, God Doesn't Have, or in the E Squared.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's just wonderful stuff. And what I know for myself personally is that, you just kind of, you're, I don't know, you know these things. You know that God is there. You know that the potentiality is there, that God, I call him George, is always there for me with answers and things like that. But sometimes you just get nervous and you just get worried. And I just think that this book is one of those things that just can calm you down. You say, you know what, just go back here and just try one of those things and remember what you already know. I think it's one of those books that you can hand to people and say, just try one of those experiences and convince yourself what you already know. So it's just such a gift to everyone all the time. And even Laura was talking about how I didn't even realize you had that many books till Laura showed all the books that she had there. So I'm just going to get one of those. But I think that's what I think we try to do, is to share with people, just breathe and try it. Just try it. And we just always want to know, well, how's it going to work out? How do I know how to try it? Just try it. So that's really, thank you so much for that. I haven't actually read any more of the experiments that you have in the book. So if anybody else wants to share some other books, other of the experiments that they've had, some of what's happened for them as they've gone through for in their lives and actually tried some of these things that Pam is talking about and what we know for sure beyond the book, how we know for sure that spirit is here for us. Dia, is it Dia Lynn?
You need to unmute.
You're on mute, baby.
Good. I've been working with Mary Morrissey's Brave Thinking Institute, and we've got a booklet that I've been doing for about 3 months. And every day we say our gratitudes, and then what our goals are, what our vision is, who am I being today, and then what is a win that I want. And at the end of the day, then you go through, all right, well, God, what great thing did I accomplish? And what did I learn? What am I going to release? And then what wins? And so every day I get to see, well, I set it up that I wanted this and this and this happened, and this and this and this happened. And if not, then the next day. So it's almost like a 24-hour turnaround. And it keeps you real current. And it's pretty cool, setting your intention and, keeping that in mind throughout the day, and then watching what happens and giving yourself a little credit when things go well. So great process.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, especially the gratitude piece is so important, because when we're focused on everything that's going right, and like I said, there's so many things going right, that really shifts everything. It's like it opens up that energy field where it's much easier to make an intention that's going to end up happening. So just always focusing on gratitude. I have one of my little possibility posses is every day we text each other gratitudes from the day before. And we only have one rule, and that is that it has to be different. We can't repeat. It's easy to go, oh yeah, I'm so grateful for, my career. I'm so grateful for traveling. I mean, I said that how many years ago? So I have to come up with new things every day to be grateful for. And it really does put you on a resonant field where miracles can happen. So that gratitude piece is so fabulous.
And abundance.
And abundance, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dia. Appreciate it.
Nice to see you.
Celeste, I see you have your name up.
Couldn't have you said, oh, Celeste.
Hello.
Sorry.
You call me? Yes.
Yes, I did.
I had two things. One, thank you for George, because I'll add that to my list of names, because I usually vary between Harold and Andy. Harold from the Our Father, Harold be thy name. And Andy from the gospel song, Andy walked with me, Andy talked with me. And but talking about intention and just trying, I always say to people, make sure that you're doing it at the level of your own belief. I say, don't treat for $1 million if you only believe in a dime. Treat for the dime and say, or better. And then when you get the dime, then go up to a quarter and, keep on increasing, but stay at the level of your belief if you want quick demonstrations. Otherwise, you have to get out your magic wand.
Yeah, in that little scavenger hunt, the little treasure map that comes in the new edition of E Squared, I talked about different things. I said, always start with baby steps, because if you start out, like you said, treating for $1 million, your vibration, your energy field will go, yeah, eat my shorts, like no way. And then you create a lot of, resistance and that kind of thing. So yes, that's a really good point, to really start with the dime, start with the baby steps.
Thank you, Celeste. Laura, you have something?
I just want to say, on the topic of gratitude, a quick plug for Pam's book, and she can share more if she wants to. But she calls them party games. So referring back to what Pam says, is just make it fun, right? So if you read E Squared, but you didn't know about this one, another way to add more gratitude. And she says right in the cover, a 30-day experiment in shameless gratitude and unabashed joy. So that's why I love this so much. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Sherry, you have something for us?
Well, actually, I can say what Laura said, but not because I've read the book. I've got the note right here. Order Pam Grout
Me
books.
too. Me too.
But my grandma used to say, you know, there's 2 magic words that'll get you anything you want in the world. 2 magic things you can say, and those are please and thank you. But what I have discovered through New Thought is that thank you is infinitely more powerful than please. Because please affirms the absence of what I want, and thank you affirms its presence. And, you know, God only has 1 word vocabulary, and the word is yes. So if I want to affirm absence, I can affirm absence, and I'm going to get more absence.
I love
if I affirm presence, oh boy, wow, what happens then?
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Sherry. Lovely. Mary Beth, good to see you here.
Hey, you too. Hi, PJ.
Hi there.
Oh my gosh, this is so great, Pam. I was there at our ANTN conference when you presented a few years ago. It was such a blast. The thing I just wanted to share with you is it really perked my antenna when I was reading about your 222 Foundation. Michael's not available to be on the call, but my husband, Michael, 222s and 22s are all over his life.
Huh.
He was born on 222. We used to live at 2206. Our phone number was 248-2224. When we were in Italy honeymooning, we had room 220. And it's just like all over. Those are the ones I can think of right now, but I'm just really, you know, got that on my radar here. So anyway.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you can see, I've got a little 222 necklace on. And this was Taz's gift to me on Mother's Day this year. And I mean, again, once you let go of the way you think things have to be, like, oh, Taz is, you know, on another plane, how's she going to get this gift to you? Somehow or another, this photographer that I worked with 20 years ago, I mean, I haven't seen her in 20 years. That's when I used to write for the Kansas City Star. She had bought this 222 necklace, you know, had just seen it, had bought it. And then we had just opened Taz's hangout at Big Brothers Big Sisters, where she had worked, you know, when she passed. And she had seen that, and she brought it to me. So on Mother's Day this year, my daughter, who isn't in the physical plane anymore, delivered through this photographer a 222 necklace. So anyway, I get 222s all the time and signs from my daughter. So the world is so much bigger than we know. I mean, whatever limitations we put on it are our problem, not the dude's problem.
I love what you shared about the Taj Mahal. I made notes. I'm going to tell
Wasn't
him.
that beautiful? That didn't know.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, thank you for all your stuff. I'm going to go back and reread.
Thank you.
And replay in the ether with you. Thanks, Pam.
Michelle, we're going to have you make a last comment, and then we're going to call up Daniel Nahmod.
All right, because I just have to, this is just so fun. I was thinking, so I want a demonstration right now on this call.
Uh-oh.
Right now, I was just thinking, you know, I want to ask Pam, but I've already spoken, so I shouldn't do it again. I want to ask her more about Think and Grow Rich, because I don't know that book. I want to hear a little bit more about it. And then Laura, you pop on, show the book, talk about it. You told me exactly what I wanted to know. So thank you. And that's how it works. Drop the mic.
Oh. All right, Sheila, one more thing. Thank you so much, Michelle. Beautiful. Sheila, what do you got for us?
Well, I had a question. Pam, you talked earlier about not having expectations. Could you expound on that? Because
good question.
I'm not clear with that.
Well, you know, people sometimes ask me, like, what's your current intention? What's your, you know, thing you're wanting? I have such faith that the dude has such great things planned for me that I don't even hardly make intentions anymore. And so I'm a student of A Course in Miracles. And it says in there very clearly, I need do nothing. I need do nothing. And, you know, I mean, the only thing I need do is get rid of all the blocks that I have, all the, you know, issues that I have, thinking that so-and-so doesn't like me, or that I don't like so-and-so, or whatever it might be. So I really, I don't remember exactly how you phrased the question, but I do believe that the more I turn over and the less specific I am, you know, I have 4 main intentions: peace of mind, surety of purpose, clear, unmistakable guidance. I mean, I want to know what, you know, is mine to do. And then unceasing joy. And that's all I really am asking for. And through those 4 intentions, the most miraculous things keep happening to me. You know, I just spent, you know, 6 weeks in Spain on an ocean. So, yeah, so I don't know if that actually answered your question, but that's my belief, is letting go of all my ideas about how things are supposed to work.
Right.
Because it's
Okay.
only my ideas, my limitations. We're all taught these things. And I know I'm excited to hear Daniel too, because I love him. So
Yeah.
I'm eager to hear him. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and stop there.
I think it's great. No, but I think you've actually said it, because what you're setting is what your deep intention is, who you are. You're setting the intention of who you are, but how it comes about is not something you need to set.
Right. It's none of my
letting
business.
go of. It's none of my business how it happens. Just what it is that I'm a good person. I love God. Whatever those big things. Those are the larger intentions, and then the smaller ones you don't have to worry about. Just let it be. I think that's.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've often
I'm
said
much clearer.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I've
Much
often said
clearer now on that. Because many years ago, I would ask for specific automobile
Right.
rather than, and then Spirit said, no, ask for perfect transportation
Beautiful.
and be accepting of whatever that is.
Right.
And I remember once that I asked for it and the weather was inclement, and this woman came by in a car at the bus stop and was going to my church, which is where I was going. And she said, "Are you going to CUT?" I'm like, "Yeah, to get in."
Beautiful.
And so it's the perfect transportation rather than I want the yellow car with the purple dots or whatever.
Whatever it is.
But I did want to say, could I say one more thing?
Really quickly, we're going to go ahead and get Daniel on.
It was so interesting that you talked about your trip to Spain, and my desire was at 6 years old to go to Spain. It manifested at 22. But
Awesome.
one of the things that I thought about was parents' intervention.
Yeah.
My father told me that when I grow up and get a job and save my money, I could go to Spain. So I think those kind of put obstacles in the way
Right.
of my desire at 6, because I probably could have gone at 7 instead of 22.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
I
kind of
agree.
true.
I agree. Thank you so much, Sheila. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, everyone, for all of your comments, for being here today. What a lovely guest. Thank you. Love your book. Bill, what are we doing? Ah, there you are, Daniel. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I just want to take, one more opportunity to to say thank you to Pam and thank you to PJ, and thank you to New Thought Media Network. This is the first time that we're simulcasting on the network, and so we all get to be part of yet another experiment. And to have Daniel here, who's the music director at the retreat this year, to serenade us. I'm going to shut up now.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm looking forward to joining you all at Unity Village in the first week of October. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm sure there'll be some deep moments, and I can personally guarantee there'll be a lot of music. And also, by the way, it's kind of worth mentioning, if you've never been to Unity Village, it's not a normal place. I mean, it's really extraordinary. So if you're watching and you're thinking about going and not sure, it's not like you're going to a Marriott in Schenectady. Not that there's anything wrong with the Marriott in Schenectady. But it really is, you're not only going to be with lovely people listening to some beautiful and inspiring thoughts and hopefully some music that works for you and so on, but you'll also be in a place where you cannot help but settle. I mean, it's really, I've been in Unity Village 20, 30 times, and it knocks me out every time with how beautiful it is, with the deer roaming in the grass and the sunsets and the forests, and it's really a special place. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. And thank you for having me there, and thank you for having me today. And as I was listening, absolutely, and as I was listening to the conversation, several songs come to mind, but this one more than the rest. So I'll sing this for you before we say goodbye. asking where I'm going. I've been asking all my life. I've grown tired of all this wondering when everything seems to turn out right. So when my mind needs something to do, wants to know the future, I whisper this: I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. You want to sing that line with me? I'm okay. I'm okay. I've always been. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. And I'll always be that way. So here goes nothing. I'm taking a chance. I'm opening up, knowing that I'm in good hands. And here goes everything. It's all on the line. Oh, but I'm not afraid this time. Some say it's crazy. Some say naive to close my eyes and take the leap. But I know better, 'cause I believe even in the dark my soul can see. So when my mind plays its usual games, oh, my answer is always the same. Yeah. Here goes nothing. I'm taking a chance. I'm opening up, knowing that I'm in good hands. And here goes everything. It's all on the line. Oh, but I'm not afraid this time. Here goes nothing. I'm taking a chance. I'm opening up, knowing that I'm in good hands. And here goes everything. It's all on the line. Oh, but I'm not afraid this time. No, I'm not afraid this time, 'cause I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way.
Thank you so much. Beautiful, perfect, a perfect song. We will see you in October in Unity Village. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. If you don't have your ticket for the retreat, we can go virtually. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss this beautiful music from Daniel and all the lovely speakers. Thanks everybody for being here today. We'll see you next time.
And before we
Bye.
go,
Thank you.
Steve Alpert has a meal. Is going to feed us a little bit spiritually and maybe with donuts.
Lovely.
Aw,
Nice.
that's so sweet.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you so much for being
Bye.
here. Beautiful.